Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. This video is for IB Theory of Knowledge. It's about memory as a way of knowing for week 11 of Theory of Knowledge for Skyline High School. My name is Wayne Watts, and I'm going to go a brief summary of some of the information from our Oxford book, the Dombrowski book for memory as a way of knowing. So the Dombrowski book starts out with a quote: "Memory is knowledge from the past. It is not necessarily knowledge about the past," from Avishar Margalit. So we ask the question, how do we know through memory? Through our memories, we grow our personal sense of identity and our sense of our place within the shared knowledge and shared life of our communities. But how reliable is memory? Memory intertwines with our own sense of our personal identities to the point that denial of the accuracy of our memories can feel like an assault upon us ourselves. But regrettably, most of us cannot remember even what happened last week, which is why we treasure photographs and keepsakes and that kind of stuff so much. So, if you were to ask the average person walking down the street what memory is like, they'll oftentimes compare it to like a tape recorder, right? That it just records everything that goes on. But that's not really how memory works. Not all memories are treated in our brains in the same way. It differentiates between procedural memories like how to ride a bike, and declarative memory like memory based on information, and episodic memory based upon experiences of, say, time and place. So how about eyewitness testimony, right? Is it reliable? There was the Supreme Court of New Jersey that was so frustrated with contradictory testimony from witnesses that it performed a massive experiment. It determined that human memory is very selective. It is not a reliable record of the past. It does not work like videotapes stored in a vault. Memory, the Dombrowski text says, is a constructive, dynamic, and very selective process. There are at least three stages of memory. Number one, acquisition. Number two, retention. And number three, retrieval, all of which may have potential problems. At each stage, memory can be distorted, it can be contaminated, or even false information may be imagined. So then, where does memory stop and imagination begin? And it's a lot less clear than we would like to think. In addition, memory depends on sense perception, the faults of that which we've already discussed in this class. Memory decays over time, and we can imagine things in the past that did not actually occur. And so we usually would like to make a very clear distinction between what is our real memory and just what we imagine occurred. But we have to be aware that we are filtering our memories as we look back. And when we try to recall a memory, it's possible that we may inject some imagined details. One common problem is when we say tidy up the past to create a narrative that leads to the present as we know it. This is called hindsight bias and can occur, for instance, when someone is caught cheating customers, like for instance, right? We claim, oh, I knew it all along, when really, no, you didn't know it all along. You may have suspected or something like that, but the difference between suspicion and knowledge are quite distinct. So this leads us to ask some questions. Why do we remember some moments when so many are lost? Emotion can end up having a big role. Like people very often recall very vividly, like say their first kiss or something like that. Where does memory end and imagination begin? Is imagination an essential part of memory? Could we not have memory at all were it not for imagination? A related bias is known as consistency bias. We interpret our past in a way that is consistent with how we are now. We edit out of our memories actions that we would presently condemn as, say, foolish or hurtful. There are very interestingly, very distinct connections that we could draw here to history as an area of knowledge, recall this when we get to that area of knowledge. Forgetting even can be essential, right? Like our psychological well-being can be negatively impacted by remembering very well past traumatic experiences. PTSD can be a serious problem. The act of forgetting crafts and hones data in the brain as if carving a statue from a block of marble. It enables us to make sense of the world by clearing a path to the thoughts that are truly valuable. Memory can even be created by suggestion. Psychologists in the 1990s very frequently pressured patients about abuse, and in some cases, even implanted memories about abuse that had never actually happened. Therapists were literally creating memories in their patients. So the book says memory is much more susceptible to suggestion and modification than had previously been realized. Direct experience and emotion affect the accuracy of memory also. After 9/11, for instance, many people recorded memories of the event. After 1 year, people were able to remember about 60% of what they recorded at the time, and after 3 years, about 50%. Emotion can be stored for a lifetime. And there has been recent research suggesting that trauma can even affect DNA, like can say DNA be passed down, for instance, from the Holocaust or something like that. And some people who are abused as children can even come to enjoy killing. Examples include like the Japanese soldiers that were trained that way during World War II. Knowing all this about memory, then, how much can we trust eyewitness experience? Doubt of the validity of eyewitness experience drops as larger and larger numbers of people tell similar stories with converging evidence. More extensive record, we suggest, is more reliable. Memory is perhaps most related to history, uh, very intertwined. However, it could be argued that every area of knowledge is largely knowledge about the past. If there is one thing to take away, it's that memory is not completely reliable. Fragile and malleable though it may be, memory nevertheless allows us to build our knowledge as we learn from past experience. You should note that when your memories conflict with someone else's, it's possible that even you are both wrong. Ladies and gentlemen, have a wonderful day, and I'll get back to you in the next video.